I'm Jerome Weeks. What does it mean to grow up in your father's art and to fulfill that art? Hallie Foote is the daughter of the late Texas playwright and screenwriter Horton Foote. As an actress, Hallie Foote has won 2 Drama Desk Awards and has become the leading interpreter of his work. She's in town for the Horton Foote Festival, an unprecedented multi-theater celebration of her father's films and plays. Hallie, welcome to Think.
Thank you.
Your father is probably best known for writing the screenplays for To Kill a Mockingbird and Tender Mercies. But in his stage plays, he created a fictionalized version of Wharton, his hometown outside of Texas, outside of Houston. And we have a video interview with him recalling how the choreographer Agnes DeMille convinced him to write about what he knows.
I was so determined to be an actor, and I wanted to be a quality actor. I just didn't want to be a personality. And we had started a company called the American Actors Company, and we had a little place over a garage. There was no off-Broadway in those days, but we were doing plays there. And to work on them, we began to do improvisations about our sections of the country. And Agnes DeMille came down and watched these exercises, and she took me aside and she said, "Have you ever thought about writing?" And I said, "No, ma'am, I never have." And she said, "Well, I think you should. I think you have interesting material." I said, "Well, what do I write about?" She said, "What you know." And I thought, well, I don't know much, but I did know Wharton. And that's what she meant, really. So I wrote a one-act play called Wharton Dance, and didn't have sense enough to know that you shouldn't name real people in the play and have them do things that maybe their mother and father wouldn't approve of. But I was trying to be truthful. I was told that was a great thing you should do as a writer. It taught me a great lesson, because I meant no one any harm. I don't use real names anymore, and I don't use the name of my town anymore.
When you were growing up, were you aware your father was writing about family members and neighbors, and did it have any repercussions?
I was aware. He wrote about Wharton, obviously, and we all knew that in the family. His plays were never, I was talking to somebody about this the other day, they were always a compilation. You know, it was never, you could say, oh, that's the carpetbagger's house, or, you know, that's the dividing the estate house, or name a play. But it was, if you really sat down and examined the family that lived there, it really wasn't actually about everything that happened. So, in a sense, he wrote about the people, but it was sort of, he would combine things and, you know, refine things and change them to fit the dramatic form. On
stage, you've portrayed both characters based on your grandmother and your great-grandmother.
Yes.
How did you keep what happens in real life from what's happening on stage?
Well, that's an example. There's a play called 1918, and that was the first one I did kind of as a movie. And I played my grandmother, and in it there's the death of a child. Well, she never lost a child. That was, my great-grandmother had lost 2 children. So he kind of put that in there as a dramatic thing. But I always said, when I played my grandmother, for example, I knew her when she was older, but I didn't know her at that age. So I sort of got to do a lot of research about her, and that was kind of wonderful, because I found out things about her I'd never known. It was a kind of my own exploration of her as a younger person.
When you first started acting in your 20s and collaborating with your father, did he give you any advice, any career advice or acting directions? Or?
He just said, get a good acting teacher. He panicked a little bit. I don't think he thought I was going to become an actor. I started late, so yeah.
You more or less have lived in your father's art. I mean, you heard the stories, you were there as the plays were created, and then you've acted in them. Do you have a sense of how the work's changed over the years?
Well, my father changed as a writer in the sense that I think he got better. You know, I mean, the more you write, the better you get. And I think he sort of started stripping away a lot. When we worked on Bountiful, he cut it
The Trip to Bountiful.
I'm sorry, yeah. Sorry. You know, it had begun as on TV, and then he lengthened it because there was that kind of 3-act format that was very popular in the 50s. And by the time we did it, it was a little over an hour and a half with no intermission.
You've said that both before and after he died, you felt you had to protect your father. What did you mean?
Well, I want his legacy to be continue. And I think he's a wonderful writer. I think he's kind of what I call a universal writer. I think he relates to, people relate to him from all over the world. I saw, actually last night, Dividing the Estate is being done here at the Dallas Theater Center, and there was a Scottish man in this talkback, and he was saying how it was all the characters were so true and resonated with him. And my sister, I heard her, she was there, and she said, he's Scottish. Because she's just been to Scotland. So I thought that was kind of great, that there's an example.
You've become the literary executor of the estate, including all 60 plays. What has that been like?
It's a responsibility. I have, my brothers and my sister are also great, because they're kind of, although I'm technically, they're also very much involved, and I call them and rely on their opinion. It's just, it's a learning curve for me. I'm just trying to keep his plays going. It's very important to me.
Are there any plays or screenplays we haven't seen yet?
Yes. A few are not going to be done for a while.
Oh. Is it a case, as he said, that he didn't do some plays because the people hadn't died? Is that a factor?
Bit, yeah. I mean, like I said, again, they're compilations, but I think it'd be a little hard to do a couple of them, so we're going to wait.
What's happened with the 9-play cycle, the Orphans Home cycle? He wrote a condensed version of it.
Yes.
Are we going to ever see the full 9 plays?
That would be a challenge, because I think it'd be 15 hours of theater. I think theaters could do, say, 3-in-1s. I don't know how you do it. I think the Alley Theater is going to revisit the Orphans Home cycle again. I think in their 2013 season.
That's the condensed version?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm hoping we can get it to Broadway. I think actually we almost got it there, and I'd kind of like for a broader audience to see it. Although a lot of people did get to see it, which was great.
The Horton Foote Festival is this unprecedented collaboration, the largest of its kind in Texas.
Yes.
What in your father's work do you think inspires this kind of effort?
He's a Texan, but he's also a wonderful writer, and I just think I was listening to Joel, who's directed the Dividing the Estate, talk about just sort of how his work resonates with him last night, and I just think he writes people that people connect with. Their humanity. It's a shared humanity, and I think that Texans seem very proud to have somebody that writes that way.
You've been cited for this very sort of unsentimental but very quiet interpretation of the characters. Is that something that you just came upon, or is it something that your father helped you with? This very clear-eyed kind of, they're not showy characters, and so there's very subtle, sort of low-key kinds of things.
Except you didn't see me play Mary Jo. She's a little less subtle, and but no. I know he didn't really teach me that. He saw me years ago do a scene in an acting class and said, I found my Elizabeth. And I guess he thought I had an understanding of that kind of female. And he used me in lots of those kinds of parts.
Did any family members or neighbors, friends say, that's so-and-so, or respond to the family portrayals that you did?
Sometimes they think they know, but they don't always know. And it's funny because I was with some Whartonians who are good friends, and they said, oh, honey, they said, Dividing the Estate, that's half of Wharton. So everybody, it's not just one family.
Well, that's quite the history of Texas in a way, the oil money taking over and everything like that.
Yeah.
Are you working on anything involving your father's plays coming up?
Well, I am going to be doing Dividing the Estate at the Alley in, I think, the fall, and I'm hard at work at kind of getting his house, the Texas the Historical Commission had came down and looked at it. I'm trying to preserve it in perpetuity. I'm trying, there's lots of things I'm working on of his, yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Are you going to be seeing more of the festival while you're here?
I'm not going to be here. We're leaving Tuesday, but I'm coming back in April because I hear that more plays will be being done. So I'm going to spend some time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck with it.
Thank you.
Find out about all the shows in the Horton Foote Festival at artandseek.org. Chris?
Thanks, Jerome. To access our free podcast, you can go to the Think page of KERA's website, kera.org/think. And we'd like to know your thoughts on the show as well. You can email us at think@kera.org. My name is Chris Boyd. Thanks for being with us, and have a great week.
To learn more, go to kera.org/think. Think is made possible in part by Dell Services. Dell Services develops and delivers a comprehensive suite of IT and application services, business process solutions, and consulting services designed to help customers succeed. For more information, you can visit dell.com/services. By Southwest Securities, a nationally recognized regional brokerage firm that's been meeting the needs of Southwest investors for more than 30 years. Southwest Securities is a member of the New York Stock Exchange and SIPC. By the Executive Education Center at the University of Texas at Dallas, providing degree and non-degree programs to help corporate professionals and executives stay ahead. On the web at som.utdallas.edu/executive. And by the valued support of KERA members. Thank you. Support for Art&Seek comes from Donna Wilhelm, the Margaret A. Cargill Foundation, the Robert Ted Enlow Family Advised Fund, and KERA members. Visit artandseek.org.